morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of On the Couch. I say good morning if you're in the UK, but good afternoon and good evening if you're anywhere else in the world. This is Creatives, the podcast for creative professionals everywhere. Part of the Creatives group where we help you grow, learn and develop your creative business. This is On the Couch. I'm Melanie Perry.
And I'm Julie Hyde-Mew.
And Julie, who have we got on the couch with us today?
Well, as usual, always a very special guest, and this is David Cornwall. David is a distributor of television documentaries and film documentaries, the CEO of Scorpion TV. Have I got that right, David? You a CEO or is that...
Yeah, chief bottle washer for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, super. Well, David has been working on TV sales and distribution for 20 years. He's worked with clients ranging from the BBC, Channel 4, NBC USA, CBC Canada, Discovery, National Geographic, NTV Japan, and TV4 Sweden. After cutting his teeth representing a variety of genres, he followed his passion and set up Scorpion TV in 2009, dedicated to selling the best thought-provoking documentaries around the world. So David, let's kick off by asking you what ignited your passion for documentaries rather than, say, comedy shows or drama.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people that get into distribution get into it by accident, and I'm one of that number. I actually have a sort of a science background. I say sort of because I didn't follow, after I left uni, I didn't pursue my degree. So I've got this, I like thought-provoking, I like learning, I like gaining knowledge, but I didn't want to pursue it in a strictly sort of in the lab. I wanted to sort of take that, in a different direction. So I rolled around, you could say, for a few years after uni, and then I just happened to get a job as a runner in a production company, and they were producing. Actually, they were making short clips. They were making short clips about the crazy Brits to sell to the Germans. That was then. It's all changed now. And so that was a factual company, and that's how I got to understand the world of television. And I started in the factual side. So I've always had this interest in learning, in knowledge, and documentaries just appealed to me. There's always I just love taking things away from what I'm watching. I love to be entertained, of course, but I love to sort of leave and think that I've actually, it's been worthwhile, watching something. Not always, obviously, it's nice to just switch off in front of some trash or a good movie or whatever, but documentaries to me, they ignite that spark of wanting to know things in me. So that's the attraction.
Yeah, I think
it's quite amazing that so many people who have become leaders in their specific creative industries always start off with one foot in the door as a runner, as a chief bottle washer. It's really quite extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in distribution, certainly in the in the marketing, in the management side of film. There's no sort of direct route in. If you want to be a producer, if you want to be a director, sure, that's, we all know those tried and tested paths of working your way up through the ranks. But if you're in this side of the business, then it is kind of just being being smart, being flexible, being agile, being willing to learn, and deciding if it's for you. Distribution is not for everybody. Management is not for everybody, but for some people, if they're able and they have the aptitude, then it could be a really fulfilling career.
I think that part of the distribution side of things, a big part of that is obviously sales. And a lot of creatives, when they hear the word sales, tend to a lot of small business owners, actually, there's one word that kind of strikes a fear in the hearts of most people. So do you have as much passion for sales, or did that side kind of almost come from the birth of your passion for the documentaries and wanting to get the documentaries out to as many people as possible? Because I think it helps if you have a passion behind a project that you want to push out to people rather than just trying to sell a title.
Yeah, I mean, like most people, I like profit. So you know, and sales is a way to that. And yes, it does help for me to be passionate about what I'm selling. Our company it's a boutique, as they say. We don't have a very big catalog. There are some companies out there with thousands, you know, tens of thousands of hours, and we've got less than, you know, 200, I would say. So we're very passionate. We have to be very passionate about what we're putting out there, and just, you know, to get up in the morning, we just want to sell stuff that that inspires us and we believe in, and you know, we can push as hard, you know, for the producer as we can on their behalf, because ultimately, you know, we're working for producers who don't want to sell, you know, who'd rather be out there in the field shooting and editing. You know, we're doing the legwork on their behalf. So yeah, it's a partnership, and we definitely want to be passionate about what we're selling.
With your science background, do you tend to prefer more scientific topics for the documentaries that you sell?
Yes, you've got me. You've got me there, Julie. It's, yeah, I do lean towards that side. I don't like to sell trash. I couldn't sell trash. I say couldn't, never say never. But
trash sales.
Trash sales. I know that is. You know, that's the
it's
conflict.
A horrible indictment on our society, but it does sell.
Yeah, that is what keeps me up at night, actually. What I say about our business is that we want content that is creative but commercial. So we're trying to walk that fine line of, you know, stuff that does sell and does make money, but also, you know, has that creative input, is thought-provoking, and, you know, and that makes it enjoyable. Finding those gems that, you know, can also turn a profit. That's part of what I like about the job.
What have, I mean, obviously you will have seen lots of stories come your way, and as you say, you have a very select catalogue, which I think is no bad thing, to be honest, because you're ensuring your quality. But what are the most inspiring projects that you've had to work on? What were the ones that really got you excited? I mean, I know they all do to some degree, but what were the ones that really kind of made you think, wow, this is something else?
I love finding small films that have a big impact. That really appeals to me, because it's and I love exceeding producers' expectations. Producers are like, they're amazed that their little film is actually sold, you know, and yeah, so I'm bringing joy to kind of both parties, to the viewers and the producers, and that's a pretty good feeling. I think one film that I often talk about, it's called A Goat for a Vote, and it's about school elections in Kenya. Can you imagine? A very niche topic, you might think. But this film has traveled really well. We've sold it, you know, all over the world, from Japan to Sweden to Al Jazeera, and to sort of many stops in between. And the reason I cite this film is because it does what all films, I think, should do, and that is, it's a small subject, but it's got universal themes. So it's about school elections in Kenya, but it's about democracy. On one hand, will the girl beat the boy for the first time and become school president? So, you know, it's about gender equality. It's about, you know, dealing with with people. It's a sort of a microcosm of society, and it's got strong emotional thread. It's got jeopardy, you know, who's going to win, and it's beautifully made. And these are the ingredients that you know, make a really good film and make a film travel. So even though it's a very niche subject, and, you know, something you might not even consider, once you actually watch the first few minutes, you're like, wow, I want to know what's going to happen. And so that is one film that I do champion.
How long was it? What was the duration?
50 minutes or 52 minutes, and that's a great point, actually. Yeah, there are very few films that I've seen that need to be feature length. You know, most films are improved by being shorter, in my experience. So so we're looking for TV hours. You know, feature.
Well, either you go for the quarter hour or the half hour or the full hour, don't you, with the ad breaks taken into account?
Yeah, so anything from sort of 45 to sort of 52 minutes is an ideal length in terms of sales. I know a lot of directors and producers, they want to make a feature length documentary, but for the most part, you know, unless it's a very involved, complex plot, or it takes, you know, it takes place over a long time period, most films are improved by being cut down to an hour. You know, in my experience, and that also helps sales as well.
And what about the 15-minute, well, the fillers for, you know, little documentaries that are 10, 15 minutes long that can be used as fillers on TV channels?
Yeah, I think we don't see that so often. Short docs, honestly, I haven't found a place for them. I think they're more of a calling card, really, and the same with short fiction film, short drama. It's more of a calling card for the director to say, this is what I'm capable of, or it's more of like a test to see, you know, this is a short documentary, it could be expanded. But in terms of sales, it's tough. There are some outlets for short docs, etc., but it's tough on the whole. Yeah, we're talking about the world of television and VOD, and as you know, they're generally sort of standard length.
And it's, I mean, competition is rife, isn't it? Because you mentioned that the landscape has changed from when we were growing up. You know, I mean, I still remember, dare I say it, you know, when we had three channels on our television. I still remember Channel 4 being born.
Oh yeah, I was there, yeah.
Yeah, now, thank you. It's not just me. But, you know, now there are so many streaming channels. I mean, obviously you have the giants like, you know, Disney Plus, Netflix, and you've got National Geographic and BBC and all the big guns, but you've got so many other ones coming up. And then when we turn on the TV now, you know, you're spoiled for choice, you know. So it must be difficult to get your piece above the noise, you know, to get it somewhere where people are going to set up and take that attention.
Yeah, I mean, I do credit the streamers with improving the quality of documentaries across the board, because they've come in and, you know, they've set a standard of what they're looking for. Everyone else has to sort of compete with that. So documentaries across the board are improving due to you know, the impact of the streamers. Having said that, I think that for the vast majority of producers, their films will not go to a streamer of Disney Plus, Netflix sort of size. They'll more than likely go to a public broadcaster. And that is where we do most of our business. Those single docs, you know, they're more than likely going to go to the public broadcaster in Sweden, in Germany, in Japan, in Australia, you know, and it adds up, of course. So you've got the whole world to sort of choose from. But yeah, that's the market for the one-off documentary in the most part.
What do you actually look for in a documentary? You mentioned certain elements that you loved about that story from Kenya, but what about a story, a wildlife story or historical story? What exactly are you looking for?
Yeah, well, like I said, we want things that are creative and commercial. So how does that break down? I think the first thing I would look for is uniqueness. You know, how unique is the story? Has it been told, you know, 10 times already? Because, you know, as we know, working in the creative industry, rejection is 90% of it, right? It's a lot of no, and you get one yes. So the buyers, I've got the buyers in my ear saying, no, not interested, no, not interested. So it's got to get their interest. So it's got to be unique. For example, someone sent me a documentary about homelessness. Okay, homelessness, not that unique. Homelessness among women. Okay, a bit more interesting. Homelessness among women over 50. Oh, that's interesting. You know, that's not been, I haven't heard about that before. You know, so give me something. Give me something that's a unique take. It doesn't have to be a brand new subject, but just a unique take on the subject. We sit down, we watch films as a team. Big shout out to my to the Scorpions. Obviously, we are a team. And we watch films on a Friday morning. We sit down, we see the new intake. We watch the first 10 minutes. I think, you know, I'm not giving away any, you know, trade secrets by saying that. I think broadcasters do the same. We're short on time. You know, we haven't got time to watch every film for all the hours of every film. So we watch the first 10 minutes. You know, what's the pacing? Am I getting an idea of the story in the first 10 minutes? Am I inclined to carry on, you know, to carry on watching? And then beyond that, we're looking for the storytelling. You know, is the story well told? And ultimately, we're looking for that emotional appeal. It's got to appeal to our emotions. That's a universal language. It's got to either make us laugh, cry, if, you know, in there, that's their holy grail, right? Getting crying watching the film, but yeah, it's got to tug at the emotions. It's got to get us invested and thinking. Obviously, not every film can do that, and some films, if it's a film about, I don't know, insects or whatever, it's not likely to do that. But yeah, but that uniqueness, storytelling, pacing, purpose, the way it's made, it's a recipe really. But there's some of the ingredients.
And what about research as well? Because obviously documentaries tend to be more factual. So I would guess in those first 10 minutes, you'll be able to tell whether this person is just spouting off on a passion project or whether they sound, you know, accurate. And, you know, we've seen in the media, we're not mentioning any names, recently, you know, if you put out a documentary and your facts aren't sound, you can be completely slated for it and your whole credibility goes down the toilet. So I think it's all of those things that you said, but if it's a documentary, it needs to be factually correct.
Yeah, that's a great point, Melanie. Obviously, we can't know for certain, you know, the real truth behind what's presented. We can have an idea. Like you say, it is on the producer's reputation, really, that their films are well researched. Yeah, and sometimes, you know, the research can really stand out and can be the best thing about a film. You know, we picked up a series recently, an archive-based series, and the research, the level of detail, the new information coming out really stood out. So even though it was archived, it was well handled, well researched, and you could sort of feel the quality in that sense.
Hmm. You've mentioned as well that your company errs towards the side of the scientific documentary. Is that
not an err, is it? Is it an err?
Erring as in going, not erring as by mistake. Erring towards a scientific. So is that across all science, or is it more medical science, or?
It's just, when I say science, I guess I mean knowledge.
Right.
And not specifically sort of test tubes and, you know, that sort of thing, but a knowledge takeaway. We do have science in our catalogue, of course, and science actually sells really well. Popular science is exactly that, it's popular. One of our best-selling films is called Sonic Magic, The Science of Sound. And it's about the director and the producer, they made sound visual. And you know, it's a really appealing film, and it's gone great guns. So we like popular science. If it's medical, if it's nuclear physics or astronomy or any of those. We just picked up a film called In Your Face about facial recognition technology and the advances in that, and some of the dangers and some of the pitfalls of that. So yeah, it's that mix of science and human interest, because we're trying to appeal to to everyone. So yeah, we can't be too sort of egg-headed about things.
So do you go out looking for producers, or do producers come knocking at your door? Was it a mixture of both?
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. We go to about 20 festivals and markets every year, or we used to. We're starting to again since we've been allowed out. And that's where we meet producers. That's where we find new films. Is normally at festivals and conferences and things like that. And of course, being such an old boot, I've been around for a bit, and so producers know me, or I'm recommended, which is quite nice as well. We're recommended. Word of mouth is good for us, yeah. So it's a bit of both, but mainly we have to be proactive because we are not the only distributors out there. So finding those gems is a big part of the job.
And do you find that with documentaries, like with feature films, and I saw there's a screenwriting lady on Instagram who, unfortunately, dreadful name, I forget now, but I did a really good interview or piece to camera about writing certain things that are popular. And she was saying, she works in the TV industry and film industry, and she was saying, if you're wanting to write about vampires because you're seeing vampires on the TV left, right and centre, you're already too late, you've missed it. That's what's happening now, you've got to move on. Is there a kind of a hot spot for documentaries where all documentaries about a particular thing are in at a certain time, or is there what's hot at the moment? What kind of vibes are you getting for I'd love to see something like this come in?
Well, you won't be surprised to hear me say that true crime is the buzzword these days. Everyone's,
love it.
Yes. You women drive the true crime audience. It has to be said. But ever since Making of a Murderer, whenever that was, 4 years ago or maybe more now, yeah, the true crime wave has just exploded. And while we come, has it peaked? I don't think so, but we're definitely looking again for a new way in, a new way of telling, telling stories. And some true crime films of the recent past used to have a lot of reenactment. People are moving away from that now. That's going out of fashion. That sort of retelling of the story. People want more verite true crime, kind of as it happens kind of thing, following the story like you're part of it in a way. So
part of the detective team.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, true crime is definitely a hot topic, but the audience are very savvy. Like you say, they've got so much choice. So it's all about innovation in all documentaries, which is great. It keeps everyone on their toes. But if you've got a true crime story that's a cracker, I'd love to hear about it.
And the details of how to get in touch are going across the bottom of the screen now, so you never know, yours could be the next hit TV true crime. Have any true crime drama documentaries helped solve like a cold case or anything like that? Because there must be there are lots of documentaries about unsolved cases. Police can't solve them all, so these things can help. Yeah,
I have heard of a few new ones coming out where they're doing exactly that. They're going back over, cold cases to sort of, to uncover new evidence.
Well, it's new that the whole DNA thing has just flipped all those cold cases on their heads. They're just going through the files and just solving. It's quite fascinating.
Yeah. I don't think there's been any major headlines that I can think of, but yeah, definitely there is that, there is that genre of, solving cold cases, and yeah, going back in time and looking at what's happened before.
And I think that's why they're so popular as well, because we all want justice at the end of the day, don't we? And with new technologies, you can get these results. And I remember, I mean, I'm going back, it's got to be a good 10 years, maybe more. And I remember there was a lady who lived up the road to my mum, and she's a beautiful lady, really lovely lady with 3 small children who were just adorable. And the police came knocking at her door one day, arrested her husband for the rape and murder of a local barmaid that had happened some 20 years previously.
Oh, wow.
Before she'd even met and married this guy. So, and she was knocked for 6 because he was tried at the Old Bailey and found guilty.
Oh, wow.
And she, this happened before they met and married. But the people, some of the people in our neighbourhood, and it disgusted me. And I'm seeing a lot of, on Twitter about certain people, but the bile that was projected against her and her children, small 3 little tots they were, at school, and she had to take her children out of school, but it wasn't her fault. She had no idea. And she, in the end, I mean, her husband, as it all unraveled, turned out to be a thoroughly nasty piece of work. And I think she actually ended up with her children in the witness protection program. That's how bad it all kind of was. I mean, he knew some pretty horrible people. But I just remember this poor little girl, I mean, she wasn't a little girl, but she was so young, and she was just in pieces. And I'm thinking, my goodness me, how quickly your life can be turned upside down. And they got him on DNA. That they had.
Well, that's a documentary that you could do, Melanie, seeing as you're so passionate about the story. That's a new angle, isn't it? How does it affect the families who don't know anything about, the crimes their loved ones have committed?
Heartbreaking. She was in such a state. I don't think I could tell it. I'm too emotional. But yeah, I think that's why there's a passion for it. People want justice. They want to see the bad guys get caught, don't they?
Yeah, that's certainly the case. It is, yeah, you're right. It is that need, to see justice, to know that, that these crimes do get solved, and that the bad guys are kind of put away. I saw a talk given by Sarah Payne's mother, and she actually said that, she watches true crime. Just so that, and she, she wants, Sarah to be remembered, through these documentaries and series and things like that. Yeah, just so that the public is aware of how justice is done and how it seems to be done. So it's not just entertainment. There is a sort of a serious side to it as well.
But it's also solving mysteries, because I know you say that women drive the interest in the true crime documentaries, but my brother-in-law loves them, and he's also fascinated by these documentaries about the missing aeroplanes, or aeroplanes that came down. Why did they come down? That's another thing that's very popular.
Yeah. Those sort of Nat Geo, air crash investigators and that kind of thing. Yeah, there's definitely a great audience for things like that. Obviously, as we are flying ourselves, we'd like to know that we're safe up there. So yeah, there's obviously there's such a broad range of documentaries for everybody, really, and obviously we've got these niche channels, history, yesterday, for women, etc. So there's a broad range for something for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've loved things about the Bermuda Triangle and like the Mare Celeste and things that that are just so weird and that have never really been solved. And it's just like, oh yeah, I'd love to know. I'd love to know about what is it.
Basically, it's because we're nosy, isn't it?
Yeah.
As human beings, we nosy.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much mystery, isn't there, in life and in general. So just to know, just to scratch the surface and to know even a little bit, I find that really, really wonderful. Obviously, drama is another way to examine life. But documentaries are, for the most part, real, and it's another level of sort of emotional connection that you don't quite get with dramas. So yeah, they both have a huge part to play.
So what are your top 3 tips for those wanting to pitch to a distribution company like yours?
Well, I think to do your research, do your homework. Does the documentary distribution company sell your kind of film? Yeah, there's no point going to a wildlife distributor, if you've got a film, a true crime film or whatever, just make sure that you're a right fit. That's the first thing. Be politely persistent. We have to also do that when we're trying to pitch to the buyers. So yeah, if you don't get a response from a distributor, come back in a couple of weeks. Just be politely persistent. Get feedback. I would tie in with that. And then the third thing I would say is you need a good title. A title on its own can sell a film, but certainly a bad title can kill a film. So we've had to change the title a couple of times on films, just to make sure that they pop, that they explain what's going on, and that they stand out in the film guide or the EPG or the the Netflix search bar or whatever it is. So think of a really strong title to catch the eye, and that'll be my three and a half tips.
3.5. I like it.
Do you prefer shorter titles or longer titles?
Yeah, short and snappy. Sometimes you have to. If the director is dead set on this particular title, sometimes you might need a subtitle to sort of further explain it. That works as well. But yeah, short and sweet is better. I would say. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, our hour is nearly up. Can you believe it? I mean, all these interviews, and I'm enjoying myself so much, and it just goes. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got to stop now. Don't want to stop. So we're going to just end with our lovely Values Jam game. And I've missed this over the summer. We took a break over the summer, and I've got my cards back, Julie. Got my cards back.
Okay.
She hates it. She hates it, David. These cards are like really soft.
It's just that she has a very disturbing love for those cards.
So this must be the on the couch bit, right? This is where we really get into it now. Okay.
This is where we find out who you truly are.
Yeah, exactly.
You under the microscope.
Right,
I nearly got away with it, but okay.
Not with us.
Okay. I'm gonna let me just see if I can spread these out a bit. Oh no, these cards are just lovely. They're so tactile, David. That's my favourite bit of the show. I get to fiddle with my cards. Right.
It's just slightly pornographic.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
It's a new genre. It's a new genre.
I'm having a moment. Don't mind me. Okay, you tell me when to stop.
Okay.
And I'll pick a card.
Stop.
All right. What are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about. Oh, it's quite a good one actually. We're going to talk about balance.
Balance. I thought we agreed we weren't going to talk about balance. I thought that was one of the things that was off. No? Okay.
We're going to talk about balance. And because we're creatives, we're going to talk about balance in a creative way.
Aha.
So I'm going to ask you, David, what does balance mean to you? What does it look, feel, and sound like?
Balance to me, it feels like clearing your head. It feels like creating space in your life for more creativity. So it can't all be work, bash. You've got to take a break. You've got to stand up, walk around, even if it's for 5 minutes, an hour. leave the house as it is now, take a walk down to the local park, just get out, move, create space to create, I think. Yeah. That's what it means on a sort of day-to-day level. And I like to have balance in the catalogue. Obviously, we're trying to please everyone. So we need to have that spread of content. As I said, we don't mean science literally, we mean sort of knowledge, but we've got to keep a balance in the catalogue across all genres. And what else does balance mean? I think also you need to have a balanced outlook. You need to think about others. As I said, it's not just me. I have a team, and I have to think about their needs and keep them happy, and then keep me happy as well. So I just think it's about being aware of others, being aware of others' needs. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's really, really lovely that you mentioned your team as well, because our teams are incredibly important. We couldn't do half the things we do without the wonderful people that we have around us. And I think you're absolutely, absolutely right. What a lovely, beautiful note to leave our show on, because that's it. We've run out of time. That's it. We would love to see you again, David. So we do hope you'll come back and talk to us sometime in the future.
For sure.
All of us on the couch. Bye for now.